ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
It's Thursday, August 21st. I'm Jim Hutchinson with your video fishing forecast for the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region, coming to you this week from Boulevard Bait and Tackle in Ocean View. That's on the mainland side of Sea Isle here in South Jersey, Cape May County. And it's one of the regular stops for a lot of people coming from West Jersey, Pennsylvania. Just spoke to a couple in here from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, coming in here and gearing up. And it is, of course, a tough week wherever you are in the Jersey Shore to kind of offer up fishing reports, that's for sure. Hurricane Erin barreling up the coast, should be due east of here by the time you're watching this on Thursday. It was downgraded. It was a Category 5 at one point, then it got downgraded to a 4, then a Cat 3. I'm not sure where we are right now, but it will put a lot of our focus heading into this weekend on some adaptive alternatives, if you will. Getting in the backside of some of these barrier islands, getting in the back bay, but things are really going to get a little bit messy. Crabbing has been fantastic. A lot of folks stopping here for crabs if you haven't had that opportunity to do so. Chum pot fishing for blowfish maybe, or some of the various species we have in the back bays. So you're going to deal with a little bit of higher tides, but again, out front it's going to be a mess. And that's why talking to Cam here at Boulevard Bait and Tackle this week, one option is to maybe take advantage of sheep's head or tog, sand fleas for tog and sheep's head, greenies when available. Talking to Cam this week, and everybody's talking the same thing in the tackle shops, waiting for the green crab delivery this week. But you might want to try some of that sod bank structure. Bridges, of course, slack tide around the bulkheads. And now, the other thing, too, to keep in mind, and I'm set up here in front of the jigs. You see all the jigs and rigs and the gulp and the fish bites here at Boulevard Bait and Tackle. But just about 2 weeks ago, things in the back bays in South Jersey in particular, and my stretch, too, on the upper stretches of Barnegat Bay, as that water gets really warm, that's when those summer flounder are heading off into the reefs and wrecks and deep water sites. But as Cameron said, quote, there are just too many fish out there to give up. And if you think about it, it's been a great season, historical, as Cameron said. A lot of folks saying the same thing. Best season they've seen on the summer flounder grounds in New Jersey. But what happens with this passing storm? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But it's important to consider that all the peanut bunker and the finger mullet in the back, and even as those summer flounders start to head into deeper waters at some point in the summer, this storm is coming earlier than most of our fall storms. So we're going to take a look at the surface water temperatures as well, and a little snapshot of fluke, because I'm wondering if we're going to get another clip in the back bays in the coming weeks. Now, getting back to sheep's head, Cam had said his buddy Kyle got on his first terra firma sheep's head local jetty. And I say that with caution because you'll want to avoid the local jetties, the rocky structure this weekend. Wait until that storm cleans up a little bit. But again, even as the flatties have moved to deeper water, I'm wondering what happens next week, by Sunday even, as this storm passes, and what's going to happen with the rest of our summer flounder season, which of course continues on until September 25th. So yeah, sheep's head in and around Sea Isle, Wildwood, other Cape May County locales. The New Jersey, the NJ multi-species guys, for example, Joe Santiago and Jose Vega, they fished with Captain Scotty Sevens out of Ocean City recently. They were up in the Atlantic City area. What'd they do? 4 for 8, 8 for 11 on these convict fish, one in double digits. So, and they were dropping the blackfish jigs with the green crab or any of the fiddler crab, hermit crab. Go up to the boardwalk, clean them out of the hermit crabs, put them on. Cam and I were talking about shedder crab, still an outstanding bait. And remember too, you still have that one fish bag limit that started in August 1st for tog. So you're going to be fishing some of those similar tactics in the back bays, sod banks, jetties when you can get back out on them. One tog limit at 15 inches. And there are no limits at this point with sheep's head, but you do want to, be careful, be cautious, conscientious, I would say. Only take a couple for the table, and if you can let those double-digit sheep's head back, there are the breeding stock. You want to do that. But again, I'm going to go back to this. We'll talk about it this week. All eyes are on Erin this week. Just as you see on this week's digital weekly edition cover, our fishing reports for the week collected over this past weekend Showed some really solid reef and inshore snag action with summer flounder, as evidenced by Nick Rambo's Cape May Jumbo there on the cover of this week's edition. Our editorial lineup for subscribers: surf chunks, three-way jigging in the rips, tips for Big Eye, and a photo gallery on some of the reader photos that I've received at Hutchinson at thefisherman.com. They come in every style. They come via text, social media. I try to get them posted as much as possible. Now, that storm tracking, as of early Wednesday morning, has it still staying well off of our coast. And I say that because, yeah, Erin's going to stay off of our coast, but we've all seen it. Anybody that's been at the Jersey Shore, you've seen in the past where hurricanes have a mind of their own. But this one, God willing, is going to move off the Atlantic coast and stay off of there. But that means big seas are still going to be around, pounding the Jersey Shore beaches. As you're watching this video on Thursday, it is going to be the biggest of the swell for the week. And it did lead to evacuations down south of the Outer Banks. That said, this is not an image of the evacuation. This popped up on my social media this week, and then some folks were sending me images as well, thinking that it was real. This is artificial intelligence, folks. Be careful sharing this garbage. Somebody thought it was a joke to share people running down the beaches of the Outer Banks, but this is what they call artificial intelligence. You don't want to pass this along as gospel. This, however, is an accurate photo that was taken by one of the news media sources this week. The problem with this, it doesn't necessarily show evacuation any more than it shows the ferry line to get back and forth to Ocracoke Island. That said, there are evacuations along the Outer Banks, and hopefully the folks down there are safe and secure after this storm, and hopefully we can say the same. Anyway, one of the reliable weather sites that I use, especially when it comes to tropical systems, is Mike's weather page, spaghettimodels.com. If you're looking for one particular site with a whole bunch of charts, spaghettimodels.com is a place to go. They give you weather maps and models. It's really a cool feature, and it'll tie you right into the NOAA marine forecasts as well. Another cool site managed by the folks at Rutgers University is the Cool Room. You can just Google, "Are you cool?" satellite imagery, RU, as in Rutgers University. It's interesting to look at the surface temperatures, though, as they change on the leading edge of Hurricane Erin. Now, I've got on a chart, full screen right now, full screen, 3 different images. That first one was taken from last Friday, the 16th. You see the warmer inshore waters, particularly here in the southern part of the Garden State, Atlantic and Cape May, New Jersey. Then we get to Tuesday, the 19th, just ahead of Erin. There's another storm system out there that we've been dealing with as well, but you see the front line of really warm water from Erin. It really made those inshore temperatures drop quite a bit with those steady easterlies as well. Now, this is the Wednesday morning look at that same image. You can see clearly those inshore waters along New Jersey, a bigger, cooler mass of water ahead of that tropical storm. So I got to think that Erin soaks up all this warmth out of the warm waters. That's what feeds the hurricane, and it leads us with those cooler inshore waters. If you wanted to find this, I'm going to put the link in our description, but it is marine.rutgers.edu/cool/data/satellite/imagery. That's why I say just Google RU cool satellite imagery. So here's my hypothesis, and I've been talking about Cameron while I'm here at Boulevard Bait and Tackle. Typically what we see in the first hurricane of the season, typically in September, late September, when these tropical storms come through, that's the indication for a lot of these summer flounders to head east, right? They'll head east to the canyon, go to their offshore grounds. But what happens this week? What happens as that cool water, and then on the incoming tides, we get a lot of current in the back bay. There's a lot of finger mullet and peanut bunkers stacked up there. Is this an indication some of those summer flounder will move or already have moved into the confines of the back bay, especially with that cooler water, that after this storm passes, it'll be interesting to see what those back bays produce. Also, with those easterlies and in the passing front, will we see more bonita, false albacore, a lot arriving after the swells? That's the time where you want to try some of those epoxy jigs, those exo jigs, the deadly dicks, work in those beaches. I always think Sandy Hook after a storm like this, sometime next week, that's when we're going to see some of those false albacore popping up along the Sandy Hook beaches, all the way down to maybe my home stretch around Bay Head as well. Again, anyone's guess what happens when a storm like this moves through, but who knows? We might see some more fish riding into the inlets to find some cover in the back bays. It is cooler. The water temperatures, the surface temperatures are cooler. After the storm, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Maybe mahi will appear in better numbers along the reef sites, the mid-range lobster pots. For sure, we've had good numbers of cobia all along the Jersey Shore this summer. Mark Oliva was fishing live bunker at the Shrewsbury Rocks last week, caught and released this 50-inch cobia. That's a keeper, but he wanted to let that fish go. Also to the north, TJ Nelson checked in again with a bunch of triggerfish on a rock pile just off of Sandy Hook, reported a ton of blackfish as well. And if this passing storm does in fact push some cooler water into the back bays, who knows, might be time to start breaking out some of that light tackle, the topwater poppers, the little stillwater smackets, the tsunami coastal pops, the eye pops. I love the Uzori inshore models, but cooler water in the back, all that bait in the back, it might be time to start looking at some of those back bay stripers on the sod banks here throughout New Jersey in the coming week. I know Dr. Cool himself, Adam Aguiar from Stockton University, he's been casting swim shads, drifting live eels at night someplace, and he's telling me there are a few stripers on the prowl there as well. Now we're going to take a look at a few of the recent fluke catches of late. We'll talk about the $100,000 grand prize in the Flounder Pounder Open off of Delaware. But first, Jenni Ackerman, we're going to go back to Bonita. Jenni was offshore, mid-range ground, looking for bluefin recently, jumped all over the Bonita. My co-worker is a terrific fisherman, outstanding angler, and she has spent some time with other young lady reelers as well, talking about fish and fisheries, to the point where these pink minnows are hooked for life.
Welcome to this week's Open Boat. Today we have a very special episode for you guys because this past summer I've been volunteering with a lot of talented young anglers, the Pink Minnows, and a lot of these girls who are literally all staring at me while I'm filming this right now. So some of them, like, they knew how to fish, some of them are beginners, but they're going to talk about what they learned this past summer, and a huge shout out to a lot of our sponsors, specifically Quantum. Emerson, come here. Come here. So Quantum was so kind enough to donate a dozen of, thank you, of the Strive combos, and the girls have been fishing it the entire time. And they're going to share what they learned with the Pink Minnows. And for everyone out there that wants to get into fishing, this is an excellent outlet to do so. Look for these clubs, volunteer, spend some time on the beach and just go, because all these girls can agree with me that fishing is a lot better than staying inside all day, right? Yeah! Let's go!
I learned how to fish.
How big was it?
16.5 inches.
High five.
And I didn't go far.
Go ahead.
I learned from the Pink Minnows how to cast and reel in. So yeah. I learned how to cast, and it was really fun learning how to cast.
I learned how to fish because I never fished before, and this was a really good experience for me.
Hugs?
I really like fishing with Quantum.
I learned
unhook a fish. I learned how to catch and release fish. I learned from the Pink Minnows that I love fluke. I love flukes.
Keep bringing it in. Oh. It's okay, keep bringing it in.
I'm having fun.
Can't. It's hard. Jenni, Chris, and Bob are the best teachers ever. I learned to fish and have fun. Pink Minnows!
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
Again, I'm going to harp on this. After Erin passes by, we have been seeing some solid fluking on the reefs, wrecks, and inshore snags. So hopefully after this swell passes sometime next week, we'll see where these flatties have set up. But again, some fish will take some shelter in the back bays. Cameron and I were talking about it. I've seen it so many times over the years where those fluke that head to deeper water in late August, sometime in August, they do return a lot of times, some of the bigger ones too, especially to feed on some of that bait coming out of the inlets. So maybe we get one more chance at this, and I'm anxious to see what the water temperatures are along the ocean waters and in the back bays after Erin passes. Now we get back to those inshore reefs and snags when it's saleable again, when we're back on the wrecks, reefs, and snags. Townsend Inlet Reef, as of last year, has some new reef balls. That's producing. All of the wrecks have been producing. Kevin Ingram was out on the Miss Chris. He had a 19.5 incher just before the storm, along with some sea bass and plenty of croakers too. That's an option for you. Some smaller panfish in the back. Fish bites on a pompano rig, high-low rig, maybe get behind Corsons or some of those back bay locations. But the croakers have been in as well. Greg Dupay said daughter Samantha went on her very first fishing charter out of Ocean City on the Real Fun, caught a 22-inch flounder, outperforming Dad, who caught several flounder, but none of them were keepers. Craig did say the crew was awesome, made for a memorable father-daughter experience. These are the times now, before the kids go back to school, take advantage of those times with the kids. Maybe set up a chum pot in the back, high-low rig with pieces of bloodworm, clam, fish bites, of course, always work. But you get that potpourri in the back, and I'm anxious to find out also about a couple of puppy drum, because we usually see some of those smaller drums in the back bay this time of year. They will feed around those chum pots as well. Up to the north, we'll return with Joe and Chris McElroy, along with Tim Roll, sneaked out offshore of the Red Church this past Friday the 15th. Friday morning at 7, they started fishing, had their 9-fish limit by 9:30, fishing 5-inch and 6-inch Berkeley Gulp grubs. A whole lineup of Berkeley Gulp grubs. It's fantasy. And we've got fish bites here as well. Again, while last week was the best, or we saw the best of the fluking on the inshore reefs, the deeper waters, the reefs and snags. When this cleans up in the next couple of days, we'll see what happens. Back Bay might be worth a shot, though. Don't want you to ignore that fact, because we do see another push of fish. So it's not over until the fat lady sings, and she ain't singing just yet. Bait could be slightly exotic, too. After the storms pass, we usually get a mix of different baits. Different species are in the mix. Salty Sam sent this image. I thought it looked like a butterfish, but my regular quiz to the New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife, Jeff Brust and the Marine Fisheries staff, they love looking at these photos, but Jeff said, after checking with staff, they thought maybe permit, Florida pompano, possibly a mahara. I don't even know what a mahara is. His crew was leaning towards pompano. I'm still stuck on butterfish. In his Beach Talk column this week, Nick Honicheski said the pompano bite along the front beaches has been truly terrific, up and down the beaches, primarily central to South Jersey. So if you're heading out here at Atlantic or Cape May County, pompano have been in the surf before the storm. Let's hope they are afterwards when things lighten up. Again, you go into a tackle shop, you look for the high-low rigs, pompano rigs, small bits of fish bite, or pieces of bloodworm if you've got them as well. A good article on that, go to thefisherman.com. You can find an article that Nick wrote about pompano fishing in the surf. Just Google, well, now don't Google, go to thefisherman.com, the little magnifying glass, type in pompano summer jack of all trades, all the tactical stuff for another one of those small panfish. Fluke in the wash as well. Try light jig heads and bucktails tipped with gulp. You can just go with the smaller ones, those 4-inch gulp on a small jig head. Fish bites, the fight clubs, smaller 4 or 5-inch, they work as well. Just be cautious of the beach conditions. Obviously, I don't want to send you all wound up going out there this weekend when we do have quite the bit of a heave. Leave the ocean conditions to clean up a little bit, which according to the midweek forecast from NOAA Marine Weather, Saturday morning westerlies could turn things rather epic for surfcasters, if you think about it. So we do have that west wind in the forecast for Saturday. If you want to just watch some surfers, they should be in their glory if we've got an offshore blow and 4 to 8 foot swells on Saturday. Now, I don't have a name, but the big fluke honors for the week was a 10.12 pound doormat aboard the Norma K out of point this past Friday, and hopefully a few of those area rugs are still around on the reefs and snags when the seas subside. Congrats, by the way, I mentioned the $100,000 tournament. Big money winners in last week's Flounder Pounder Open down in Delaware. The Pensy crew from One More Drift took home the $100,000 grand prize last week. New Jersey-based El Nino nabbed second place with 50 grand, while Hunter of the Seas out of Maryland took third and 40,000 clams. Various Calcuttas as well. It was a sweep from the Maryland, Delaware, or Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey guys. I know a couple of Delaware boats were on the final leaderboard, but $100,000 for a summer flounder tournament ain't too shabby. We're going to look at the big money, high stakes action in the mid-Atlantic next and take a look at those offshore conditions. But first, with all of these nasty weather conditions here at the Jersey Shore, you might also want to take this opportunity to try your hand at some freshwater opportunities. Swells out front, but in the back, the lakes, the rivers, and streams, it might be a good time, maybe even to head up to the Poconos. See what George Shower has to talk about.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. Big changes coming to our area. You know, we got Erin, that hurricane sweeping up the East Coast, kind of making things a little bit nautical for you saltwater folks over the next few days. Lots of freshwater options if you want to make your way inland. Lots of great lakes and streams in New Jersey. You can get yourself on some really nice trout. There's some smallmouth, crappie, you got pike. There's lots of things you guys can get on while we wait for that storm to pass on by. Over here in Pennsylvania and on the border of New Jersey, we have the Delaware River. Guys are still picking up plenty of stripers, some nice smallmouth there as well. In fact, the river temps were down about 74 when I checked today, so really coming off their highs. Fishing's definitely going to start picking up as we make our way past the upcoming holiday. Now, a couple of lakes over here, we have Beltsville going strong, Wallenpompak, Nakamixon, all the big ones, still plenty of good fishing going on, waiting for that temperature to change as well. Lehigh River, Steve Kolnick checked in. He was out there fishing smallmouth. What a beautiful dark colored smallmouth out of the Lehigh River. Some really good fishing there. Be picking up some really nice brown trout in the coming weeks as well. So guys, look for alternatives this week. Saltwater's probably going to be on hold, but get out and get on them. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
28th Shoretown Ballpark, Jersey, BoatExpo.com.
Life is better with a boat.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Roughly 17 miles south of where I am at Boulevard Bait and Tackle in Ocean View, we've got the Mid-Atlantic going on this week, formerly known as the Mid-Atlantic 500, but once those purses went up into the $1 million range, now they just call it the Mid-Atlantic. 109 boats headed offshore on day one of this 34th annual event. The report that I had was that the white marlin bite in the canyons to the north of Cape May continued pretty good. A relatively decent ride out Monday morning for those folks that were fishing. Deteriorated, got bad later in the afternoon. Now those fishing from the southern canyons, especially much of the fleet from Ocean City, Maryland, that particular port, were spared the rough seas for a little longer, but they too saw conditions that got a little worse. Needless to say, the ride home for those boats fishing this classic offshore tournament had a sporty ride home. Purse this year, $3.2 million, not too shabby. Now, quick rundown of these offshore reports, because really the last one we got was on Monday. No boats had fished subsequently Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But the white marlin leader continues to be the 71-pounder weighed by Poconos, Maryland's Jimmy Hahn on his tail chaser. Worthy of note, 247 white marlin, 9 blue marlin, and 2 sailfish were released on day one of the tournament on Monday. Nick Neary's Maryland base lit up, still atop the leaderboard in the tuna category thanks to a 103-pound big eye. Bobby Pastorius of Ocean City, Maryland, and his Jenni Poo continue to lead the Wahoo category with a 60-pounder. There's a tie in the dolphin category at 22 pounds, which is shared by Fanwood, New Jersey's John Schwab on his Pegasus, and the Chesapeake Beach, Maryland, Sean Gibson aboard his Wound Tight. In the points category, you'll appreciate this, NBA legend Michael Jordan and his Florida-based Catch 23 leads the white marlin after day one in the release category by 900 points. Second place, Stone Harbor, New Jersey's Jamie Diller aboard the Canyon Lady. Now, because of the nasty offshore wind conditions all week, I did get a text from Ricky Weber at South Jersey Marina on Sunday that they were going to continue this one additional day. That's on Saturday. So hopefully the boats can get out with those west winds on Saturday, give it a shot. But I look at the Thursday forecast, what you're looking at on the screen right now, 14 to 24 foot seas. Well, it's good news that the event will carry on for one more day. Hope to have some reports, some updates for you. Look to Tom P's offshore report next week at thefisherman.com. That will go into the September print edition for that. Now, we're going to look ahead at this weekend, but I want you to take this one with a grain of salt because the tournament organizers are probably going to have to adapt, but we'll see. This Saturday, August 23rd, weather permitting, you've got the 23rd annual Arrowhead Fluke Tournament. That's the one that is presented by the Jersey Coast Shark Anglers out of Brick. Captain's meeting was scheduled for Friday, and the weigh-ins at Captain Bill's in Manasquan. Visit jcsa.org to find out details on that event. Also Saturday the 23rd, I know that Matt Sorrentino was keeping an eye on the weather for the Beat the Fleet Fluke Tournament. That's out of the Boatyard on the inbound causeway, the inbound on the way to Long Beach Island. It's over on the north side, so I guess that would probably be the outbound side. Go to njfishingclub.com for all the details on that. Now, also on Saturday, which I'm sure is going to go down because it's at the Barnegat Docks, the second annual ASAC Barnegat Youth Tournament at the Barnegat Public Dock, a place where I spent lots of my youth fishing a spearing under a bobber for bluefish. But that's the place where that event is going to be held. It's all locked up, no more participation. But if you want some information, you can email Brandy Hillegas at gmail.com. All this information, by the way, is in the calendar of events in the Fisherman magazine. Look to that August edition, and I've already alluded to the fact that a new edition is coming out next week. Now, looking ahead a couple of weeks, Thursday, September 4th, that Labor Day week, that's when the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council will meet. at the Stafford Township Firehouse at 5 p.m. I expect an opening salvo on discussions on summer flounder, black sea bass, porgy, bluefish, and striped bass. Regrettably, I won't be there. I'm usually at that meeting, but I won't be there at that meeting. I'm going to have to follow up later because September 4th happens to be the opening day of the NFL football season, and I'll be sitting in the Link, Section 225, watching my Eagles thrash the Dallas Cowboys. If you're around Section 225, stop by and say hello. September edition of the Fisherman magazine. I mentioned that's coming out on Sunday. We go to print on Sunday with that edition. I doubt I'll have too much to report from fishing reports from this week, but we'll do our best to forecast what to look for in the latter stages of August as we head into September. But you're all queued up too with stories dedicated to September fishing, surf, inshore, offshore, freshwater. We've got all of our news and information. I've got a write-up on fluke and sea bass. I've also got a write-up in that September edition as well on striped bass and what we can expect. So as we head into this weekend, all is not lost. Make sure to come down and take a look at the surf on Saturday because it's going to be a surfer's paradise. And hopefully things will clean up by Sunday to get out there. You do have those back bay opportunities, bulkhead fishing, dropping some bait for some crabs. And again, Cam and I were talking about this before. With a hurricane this early in the season, it's not even fall yet. It's not even before Labor Day. I mean, it's not even Labor Day just yet. When a storm like this moves through, there's no telling what gets mixed up and modeled up afterwards. We could see all kinds of incredible species. The cobia and dolphin, the mahi could be in close. And again, I'm very anxious to find out what the summer flounder are going to do, because I don't think they're going to move offshore for this storm. I think they're going to come in close and hunker down, which means maybe next week we've got some good back bay fluke action. We'll see what happens next week right here at thefisherman.com.